But welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for the 2021 Career Industry, MCO East Career Industry Day. Really glad to have you here. So obviously you've seen the books if you found this link. And today is our employer panel. This one is on the construction trades and building trades. And we're really happy to have you here and our panelists today. We have one more panelist coming in shortly. So with that, let's do some introductions. Sorry. All right. If you'd like to go and introduce yourself and kind of about your company, that would be great.
Sharon, you want to start?
Okay, I'll start. So my name is Sharon Chandra. I am the Senior Human Resources Coordinator at WebCore. I actually wear multiple hats. I manage our Learning and Development Department, and I'm also a Human Resources Business Partner, which is short for HRBP. And so usually with learning and development, what we do is a lot of the trainings and anything that has to do with the development of the employees at our company. That's me. And then when it comes to connecting with the different people at the job sites, I also go out and interact with our employee population.
Okay, I'm Kathleen Lastly. I'm also with WebCore Builders, and I am a program compliance manager. So what that means is that I make sure that on our projects that we follow the terms and conditions of our contracts that we have with our project owners. So Sharon and I both worked together on the UC Merced 2020 project. That was a 4-year project where we doubled the size of the campus. And so we got to know lots of folks in Merced while we were working on that project. And just a little bit about me. My background is I have a degree in math and I have a degree in mechanical engineering. I'm a licensed mechanical engineer, and I've spent a lot of my years in construction in the field. And then in about the last 5 years or so, I really started to really focus on the contract side of construction.
And I just let Elena in right now, Greg, that we're in the waiting room.
Okay, here we go. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna make them a co-host. Yes. And I'm gonna spotlight them. Oh, it's not letting me spotlight them. Oh, maybe because they don't have their camera on.
Probably the camera on.
Yeah.
So Elena, if you have your camera on, then we can spotlight you.
Everyone.
Perfect. Then Greg can spotlight you.
Perfect. Welcome. So Elena, we're just doing introductions. So you are the perfect moment. You should be able to, I'll ask you to unmute, and then you can tell us tell us who you are and about Laird real fast.
You're on mute, Elena.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
We're good.
Sorry for the delay. It's been one of those days today. So hello, everybody. My name is Elena Abarca. I am the HR manager of Laird Manufacturing. We are a manufacturer of cattle feeding equipment. The company has been around for about 20 plus years. It started out with 4 owners, and then eventually we ended up with 1 owner out of the 4. So we're very fortunate to have a company that has lasted this long in the welding industry. And as I know, I've spoken to some of you, we are actually growing. During the pandemic, we've actually grown. So as you know, that with COVID and everything, a lot of people started staying home more. So we're producing more food, a lot more ag activity. And so we've actually grown. So at the moment, we are looking for employees to join our team.
Perfect. I forgot to say, students, the chat is disabled. You can direct message Luis Robavia or Janice Rogi. That is available, and they will ask the questions for you for our panel today. So if you have any questions, definitely put them in. There's no bad questions. We're not putting your name on saying who's asking, so don't be embarrassed. And we have some questions, so if you really want yours asked, do it early so we have time for it. So the first question, tell us about your industry and some of the top skills or experiences needed with your company.
So I would say some of the top skills, of course, because we are a welding company, you would need to know how to weld. there are a lot of certified welders and there are some that are not. We believe in and promoting within as well. So as I said, welding skills are very important, mechanical skills. We also have people that drive forklift. We have a paint department that does a lot of automotive painting. We have a hydraulic room, so which it entails with measurements. So you'd want to know measurements. We also have an engineering department. So you would need skills in that aspect of the company.
So for WebCore, we're a general contracting company, but we also have a lot of WebCore Concrete and all these other divisions.
Yes.
So the top skills or experiences with that for us, it's great because there's so many different things that you can do here. There's the field where it's most of our trade staff, so you can have laborers, carpenters, and that's through the union. But then we also have the office side, and there's human resources. We have our project engineers or superintendents, and there's specific certifications depending on which career path that someone chooses to take. I know that one of the main skills that we really look for are the soft skills. The technical skills, those are easy. We feel like those are easy to achieve, but the soft skills such as communication and time management, things like that are what we're really looking for.
I think one of the things that's really important to us is that you're able to work collaboratively and you're able to work on a team. In the construction business, nobody does anything on their own. Everybody is working with a team of people that depend on you. So this feeling that you're a part of a team and that you can be relied upon, that you are a reliable person, you're going to show up for work, that you're that when you say something, you actually are saying it correctly. We can rely on what you're saying. You can reliable promises. So I think we're looking for people with personal integrity, that we can count on you. Construction is something that has the potential to be a risky business. So it's very important that we can trust each other and work together. So that soft side is very important. And then in almost every aspect of our business, you need to have math skills. If you're going to go into the construction trades, most likely you will need to have algebra or you need to have math through algebra. And virtually everybody uses math, whether you're a laborer and you're determining how many yards of concrete you need to place, or you're a carpenter and how many board feet of lumber do you need to order. You're a superintendent and you need to figure out how many labor hours you need to assign for a task. Virtually everything we do is based around math, and it's all practical math. It's not theoretical. So that's one of our most important skills that we're looking for.
Well, thank you, Kathleen and Sharon. I agree with them. Those are some things that I didn't touch up on, but also something of very importance to learn manufacturing is attendance. It's very important for employees to be here, especially that we're growing. The delays and demands that we have right now, which I'm pretty sure Kathleen and Sharon can relate to, is that there's work out there. We really do depend on you to be here every day, and then another thing is being safe. We want everybody to be safe. The way you come to work, we want you to leave that way. So safety is also a big thing with us here at Laird Manufacturing.
Luis, I think they've seen the slides ahead of time, so they're hitting on those key points for us.
I agree. So you kind of mentioned it a little bit, Sharon, the different positions. Different positions may require a little bit, different certifications or degrees of what nature. But if you can discuss some of the different positions within your company and your industry, I think I give the example of, I remember going to a booth with Highway Patrol, and you just think, oh, Highway Patrol, they're on the freeways. And then you start realizing there's so many different roles and opportunities within just that kind of like that sector. So if you could talk about, we'll start off with Kathleen. I see you on my left-hand side. Kathleen, we'll start off with you. And then if we could just talk about like some different roles within your company.
Okay, I think Sharon mentioned that we have kind of two tracks for careers within our organization. We have the field side and we have the office side. So on the field side, Most of our people come through apprenticeship programs and come through the union. So all of those different positions, there's a lot of different things that you can do when you're on the field side. You can be a carpenter, you can be a laborer, you can be a you can place rebar, you can install cabinetry, all sorts of, hang drywall, do framing, a tremendous number of available jobs on the field side. And then you can also be a foreman, you can be a superintendent, and you can direct the work. So lots of opportunity. Again, the pathway there is generally through an apprenticeship program. You might start with a pre-apprenticeship program through a CTE program. And then you get into a union apprenticeship program. And from there, you turn out as a journeyman level, and then you begin your career. And the apprenticeship program is about 4 to 5 years, kind of depending on how many hours you get in. So that's kind of your pathway to get into the trades. I'll put a plug in here for joining the trades. And I can say this because my husband's an electrician. When you go through the field route, you're not necessarily going to college, you're going to apprenticeship training classes, which is like college, but you're getting paid the very first day. You're earning your apprenticeship wages. And as you build up your number of hours, your apprenticeship pay increases, so that finally at the end of your 4 to 5 year program, you turn out as a journeyman and you're earning your full journeyman salary. So you're getting the education, you're getting the training, but you don't have to incur student loans. You don't have to pay tuition. You are paid as you learn, which is a huge advantage. And then maybe Sharon, I could turn it over to you to talk about the kind of the office side.
Yeah, definitely. Not to steer anyone away from college. If you're wanting to go, that's amazing. I think it's a great opportunity. But for WebCore, we have the different options. If you start off in the field and you decide later on that you want to move onto the office side, we certainly accept that experience as well. We have tons of superintendents who are considered office salaried employees, but they started off in the field. They started off as carpenters, laborers, started as apprentices, and now they're superintendents, construction managers, and vice presidents in our company. So there's two paths to get into the office. If you want to go through the apprenticeship program which Kathleen is talking about, there's certainly that option. But if you want to go to school for construction management and go that way, there's always that as well. So for the office side, there's the project engineer route, which usually we require either a bachelor's degree, or like Kathleen said, you can come through the field route as well. And after project engineers, we have superintendents, we have our construction managers who are still very involved in the field. But then we also have our project managers and our directors who handle more of the contracts and the financial side, the project controls and the financial side of things. And then there's also other titles as well that some project engineers are specific for building projects, but then we have other project engineers that are involved in like project controls or different areas as well. So there's so many different options that are available. It's just it's like a buffet. That's the best way to describe it. It's this buffet, and you decide which entree you want to eat. You just try every single thing on your plate and choose from that.
Advice.
Elena, would you like to talk about Laird and the different roles that you have within your company?
Sure. So we also have an office side, and we also have a sales team. We have our service department, and of course we have our production department. So starting off with production, of course we have our welders. We also have a CNC machine, so we need operators for that. We have a brake press, so there's operators for that. We have fabricators. We also have machinists. And we also have people that help, that are kind of like a shop coordinator, that kind of help out the team for little projects that they may need that need to get taken care of throughout the day. We have forklift drivers. We also have a paint department, and so it's more of an automotive side. So we have a paint department with prep painters and painters. and getting to the sales side. Like I said, we have a sales team that actually goes out and sells our product. We have parts, we manufacture as well parts to sell to our customers when things break down. And we have a service department. So they actually go out into the field and service our equipment out in the field, as well as bringing in the equipment into to our service facility and doing maintenance and stuff on the machinery. And as far as our office side, we have an accounting department, engineering department. So we do have engineers as well. And we have our admin help in our HR department. Just a short story of where we promote within is I started out as more like an admin assistant, moved up into the accounting department, and from the accounting department kind of went into HR. So now I'm the HR manager. So we do definitely promote within, because there's nothing like an employee that knows the business. It's kind of, when you come into a new type of employment, you really don't know what's going on, it can be challenging. But when you have employees that have been here for a while and kind of moved up the ladder and have been promoted, you can really see their leadership and how they have a good understanding of Laird, which helps out a lot with out on the floor and with our employees and stuff.
I think that leads to our next question.
I was going to say that. I was going to say it leads to the next question, Elena, which is, I think it's so what is an example of a career ladder working for your company? So you talked about obviously a position that you started off,
Yes.
But I also know that Sharon, you mentioned if you have that person who's been in the construction field and they're the hands-on and they've been in the field, they're like, okay, now I'm ready. Maybe my back's hurting, whatever it may be. Say, hey, I want to get into the office side of things, knowing that either career ladder, meaning going up, or even like laterally across. Can you talk about some of those experiences? We'll start off, I know, with Elena, because you kind of mentioned it, and then we'll go back to WebCore.
Yes. So, and another example is Christian. He's not here with me at the moment, but he was here started with us 10 years ago. Didn't speak any English. Started from welding, moved himself up, and now he's a production manager. So we share that with our employees because, we look for things like that. We want to promote within. And like you said, it takes a lot of creativity when you see an employee has a talent, especially sometimes when they're struggling. You just don't want to see the struggle. You want to see what they're good at. And that, as good management, that's where we can redirect and be like, hey, maybe they'd be a fit over here. And we've done that. And you can actually see how well your employees grow. So we are definitely here to promote their strengths and help them with their weaknesses and help them achieve, their career goals at Laird.
Very cool. Very good. So it seems like you guys are more that transformational leaders where you're really wanting to invest in your group. So that's a really good thing to hear. Sharon, would you like to talk a little bit more about maybe that lateral movement, or just
absolutely.
in general, what a career ladder look in your company?
Absolutely. Yeah. Elena shared a personal experience, so I'll share mine as well. I actually started off as an admin assistant on the UC Merced project and then worked my way up. And I came to a crossroads in my path where the directors on the project asked, hey, you'd be great as a project engineer, or you can take the human resources route, which is of course what I wanted to do. And so they gave me the two options and patiently waited until I decided. And eventually, I chose the human resources. I chose the dark side. So that's why I'm here today. But we definitely give our employees the option, and we're huge on internal promotions. We have our intern program. And actually, I love this story, Kathleen, you might know. So for Greg Miller, he actually started off as one of our interns. And today he works for our company, and he is a director for for our concrete department. So for us, we have these robust performance management programs where we meet twice a year, and we look at every single employee and discuss every single employee about how their performance is, if there's anything that we can do to help them develop into the next role, because we do have certain time frames that, okay, within 2 years, a project engineer should be ready to be a senior project engineer. And if they're not there yet, what are some things that we can do to help them grow into that role? Kathleen, do you want to add anything else?
I think one of our best examples is Jess Peterson, our CEO. He started out in the construction industry as a carpenter, and he worked as a carpenter in the field. He did that for a couple of years, and then he decided that he would like to start pursuing the project management side of the construction business. So he went to school, he got a degree, and then he worked his way up in the industry, and he came to Webcor, about 20 years ago, I think he came to Webcor, and then gradually worked his way from being a project engineer, project manager, a project director, a division manager, and then now he has been the CEO. But I think that what's great about that story is, and part of the reason that I love working for Webcor, is that most of our senior managers have come up through the ranks. So these are people who are builders. They know how to build things. They've worked with their hands. They've worked in the field. They've dealt with the pressures, and and I've come up through the ranks the same way. So when you get to the very highest level, they understand construction. And so it makes it a great environment because they can really relate to the employees because they've been there. They've done what we're doing now. So yeah, so Jess Peterson started as a carpenter.
Really good points, all of them. I really like Webcor, that idea of even being a little proactive and looking at a position and saying, hey, they've been here for a little bit. Maybe they're not where we would think that they might be at. So, hey, let's put some training or let's have that conversation. I think that kind of proactive approach is really cool, different, good to hear. But you're right. One of the things with Career Ladder that I want our students to understand is it's a career ladder, meaning that there's some longevity that goes with it. It's not something that you're going to get maybe in 6 months to a year. It may take 5 years within a position, especially the higher up that you get. You need those experiences. You need to see how the company or the department runs, which you can only learn through experiences and failures and things that go with that. So even through the stories that all three of you are talking about, it's that experience component of moving up or making a lateral movement. So
absolutely, patience is important. I mean, when you start a new job, I'll say don't expect to be promoted tomorrow. It's going to take time.
One thing I'd like to add is that I don't know if they're saying this anymore, but at one point in time, everybody was saying, well, follow your passion. It's like, well, wait a minute, you're in high school. How do you know what your passion is? You haven't had a chance to try on new things. That's part of the process. So I think when you go into construction, you have the opportunity to try different things. You can start out as a laborer and maybe you really like carpentry. So then you can move into carpentry and then you can move into a foreman or a superintendent role. And then at that point, you may decide, hey, I really like scheduling. I really like figuring out how to put the job together. And then you might become a scheduler. So you don't have to know exactly what your life's path is going to be the minute you start. You have an opportunity to evolve and change and focus on what your interests turn out to be.
Love it. See, seasoned worker right there. And I agree with our priorities and purposes and interests change. What is important to me at 17 is not the same at 25 and 30 and 32 and so on. So those things change, and for our students to understand that it's not always a path that we decide and we write out and it ends up exactly what we thought. It is literally, you find those things, you find a company that you want to grow with, and you find different roles, and you're also identifying like, hey, I'm pretty good at this. Like, I would love to kind of continue in that field, and that's kind of career, right?
Yeah, 15 minutes. So yeah, we're just getting started here. Question number 4. So what are some of the incentives in working for your company? What draws you new employees? Why do they stay?
So I'll take this one first. We have a lot of incentives actually. So one, with our internal employees, we have referral bonuses. So I think the best way to connect when you're looking for a job is reach out to Webcor employees on LinkedIn and see what positions are open. We might have some that we haven't posted on our careers page yet. And because there's referral bonuses, they're going to be more motivated to reach out to the HR team and say, hey, so-and-so reached out to me, they're looking for a position. Is there anything available? Also, I mean, we have the medical bonuses and all those, the dental, vision, everything else. But we also have 401k plans, and also some things, we call it WebCore Wellness Day, and we give employees 2 days a year. They already have their normal vacation that they accrue, but we give them an extra 2 days just to say, hey, if you need some time to just to real, go away from work and just have a wellness day for yourself, there's that option. We also give other incentives like there's the company vehicle or company allowances for the higher managers, and there's also the yearly bonuses at the end of the year. And then there's something called the 111 program, where we give our employees a certain amount of hours, it's 20 hours a year, to go and volunteer in the community. And so, like, for example, for me, I love volunteering at in Modesto. I live in Modesto, so I love going to the local community and finding a food bank that I love working with. And WebCore gives me 20 hours a year to go ahead and just go and spend as much time as I want with them. Kathleen, is there any additional incentives that I might have missed out on?
I've in my career, I've worked for a number of different construction companies. I've been with WebCore about 6 years, and absolutely the huge incentive of working at WebCore is I love the people I work with. And I can't say that about other places I worked, but WebCore has really, really great people because they're down to earth. And like I said, they've come up through the ranks. They're construction people, so they're humble. You don't find a bunch of big egos. They're just really nice, fun people to be around. I love to be around my coworkers, and that's part of why this working from home thing is. I wish it were over, because I like my coworkers.
Good point. Elena.
Yes. So we have some similarities as far as like the benefits. We have medical, dental, vision. We have 401k, profit sharing. Another thing that the employees love, we usually have a spring, like where we will go take everybody to a baseball game. So usually the employees love doing that. We usually have a Christmas party at the end of the year. We also have like a family day in December where we dedicate more of the time with the employees' children. So it's mainly dedicated to the children of the employees because they do work a lot and work a lot of overtime. And we just want to express to their families that, hey, we appreciate the time that they're away from you. So we want to show our appreciation to their family members as well. Right now, we are actually doing it. We just started this October 1st. We wanted to do something a little different. So we were doing an attendance raffle. So it's really working well. We had our first drawing. It was like a big screen TV, which the employees really enjoyed. It gets them motivated to want to be here because, the more they're here, the more tickets they can earn. And so it's great to see the morale with the employees being boosted, especially during this busy time that we're having. We also get at the owner reviews at the end of the year, and it gives also bonuses at the end of the year. As far as hiring on, what we are promoting is we have a pay rate that they start off of, and at 60 days, as long as they meet contingencies and meet with good performance, they will get a raise. And then at the 90 days as well, if they meet contingencies and pass performance, they also get another one. So they know ahead of time when they start, when we do the offer letters, it's actually in there because we want to help them be successful, So those are just some. Hopefully I didn't miss too much of them, but yeah, that's what we're offering right now with Laird, our incentive.
Excellent.
Very cool. Well, and I think that's a big part for high school students to understand is when you look at companies, doing that research, knowing the culture, knowing that you're going to get along with people, right? That's one of the things Kathleen values. So kind of identifying those things within an individual. I agree. Working with people that are great is going to make the job a lot easier. It's one of those, it's the purpose and the people you work with are big factors in the work that you do. So I 100% really good information. I have a quick question, Greg, and that Tito is asking. It says in regards to high school graduates. So if we have a high school graduate that is coming up, but they're a little shy of being 18 years old, do you have anything in regards to like an apprenticeship position for those 17-year-olds that's going to be an 18-year-old, or giving them an opportunity? I know you deal all with equipment, and usually that's 18 and above, but what kind of opportunities do you have for that high school graduate that is just shy of 18?
So for working in the field with us, you do have to be 18, like you said, because of the machinery and things like that. But then there's always that office path. They can intern and with the project engineer side. And then once they're 18, if the field is something that they're wanting to consider, they can always take the pre-apprenticeship route and then go that way.
Good.
And that's the same with us because of our machinery and type of work we do. We also until 18. But what we've been doing kind of just so that the high schools can kind of get some information about Laird. We've been offering tours and stuff for them to come out just so they can kind of see what kind of culture we have, kind of see what we do, because a lot of people think Laird and welding, it's this little shop, which Greg can relate. You think of just this little welding place, and then you come and you see these huge machines that we're manufacturing, and it kind of puts the perspective of our company a little different, because it's very impressive of what the guys out there make.
Right.
All
At
right,
least
go
we
for
have
it.
about 10 minutes. So.
All right. Well,
Oh,
I know
no,
the next one's
no.
a good question in regards to the high school.
Yeah. So what could a high school student be doing right now to help prepare themselves so they can be a standout working for your company?
I think for us, learn all you can. We look for when people come in our interviews and stuff. Of course, we want to know that you weld. There's a welding test. So any welding, any extra welding you can do, learn it, whatever they're showing you in school. You want to know because there is some math to this. So you'll want to be good at math and measuring. Your work ethics. So that's something you would want to bring along. So when you're in high school, you know how you want to have good attendance and you should, go to school. That's the same thing that applies in the workplace, good attendance and all that applies. So you want to be, and also you want to have good soft skills, how you relate to people, everybody is different and we have to relate to people differently. So you definitely want to have those types of skills. And that's all I can think of right now.
Yeah, everything that Elena said. Plus, when you're going into that interview or practice having interviews, when you're going in, smile, be engaged, have a positive attitude, because that is what's going to resonate with us. So as much practice as you can with your friends, if you have family members that'll sit there and do mock interviews with you, those would be helpful.
I would say, make sure that you do well in algebra. You really want to learn your math. And then a huge shout out to the CTE programs. Definitely sign up and participate in the CTE program at your high school or through the Merced County Office of Education. You get a tremendous introduction to the construction business that way. And that would be very impressive. We would definitely take note of that if you've been participating in a CTE program for the engineering and architecture track or the construction trades track. Those are wonderful programs, and I really recommend that you check those out.
Definitely have to agree with you, Sharon. Luis and I, we teach interviewing skills, and I highly say, take those ROP classes. There's portfolio day. To learn interviewing. It doesn't matter how great your skills are if you can't get through that interview process, you never get to show them off. So
absolutely. Yeah, when we're interviewing people, I mean, I'm looking at the person sitting across from me, and if I can stand working with them for 8 hours in an office, and if the answer is no, then it's pretty hard to place them with a coworker or somebody else in the field, and it would be unfair. So just have a smile, great attitude. That's all we're looking for.
Do you actually hire like the trades themselves? Do you just kind of like hire like someone else like a union, or do you actually have this? Do you actually have tradesmen? The cement welders, do you cement pourers and such? Do you actually have those hired on? And then, and if so, is that just as important?
So for the trades, we don't conduct actual interviews. We usually call up the union and they'll send out whoever is next on the list.
Got it. We
So
do this one.
Yeah, number 5, and this one's a good one because it is construction, and we might have this misconception. So what are some misconceptions in your industry that once you're in it, you're like, yeah, this is not what I thought it was, or just people in general, once they start working, they're completely different than what they anticipated?
I think of all industries, this one has the most misconceptions. I think, the misconception is that construction workers are that they're uneducated and that they're unskilled, and nothing could be further from the truth. There's so much education that happens on a daily basis. You're always, you're taking classes, you're going to a training, you're learning from your foreman. Construction workers have to have a tremendous amount of knowledge. If you're an electrician, you have to absolutely know the National Electric Code. You have to know chapter and verse of, if you're working on a hospital, what the hospital working requirements are. If you're a plumber, you have to completely understand infection control procedures. So there's construction workers have to know so much. And that's part of this misconception, is that I think the other thing is that if you go into construction, then you don't have to go to school. You're always learning. You're always attending some type of training. Maybe you're doing an online course at home in the evening on, the code updates, or maybe you're going to a training with your company, or maybe you're going to your apprenticeship training classes every week. You're always learning. So, and that's part of what makes it fun.
I can agree with Kathleen. I think also the misconception is that welders aren't educated, but there really takes a skill out there to be able to do what these gentlemen do day in and day out. And what people don't, and the misconception is, if you were to see the type of machinery we make, this is all over the world. I mean, we're talking about Japan, Mexico, Europe. Our equipment is everywhere. And so they've put their mark on that machine, and that's something to be very proud of, because I work in the office. I couldn't just go out there and weld or do what they do out there. And they put in a very hard day of work. And I can tell you the owner is very appreciative of his employees, and so it takes a lot of skill set out there to be able to do that. And, I also find that, when somebody new into the company comes in, especially when they've come out of schooling, the projects aren't as large as ours over here. So sometimes it can get a little intimidating for them. But just rest assured that your training, with time, it's going to come. Like, you're not going to know all that when you see it, because I know what we do. We see the big picture, but it's better just to start, seeing the smaller picture so it doesn't get overwhelming, because I can see some of the students where they get overwhelmed because they're like, wow, these machines, I'm going to be welding what, So we don't want you to feel like that. There's baby steps to it. Like Sharon mentioned, you're not going to, get promoted overnight, or you're not going to learn things overnight. It takes time, and and they're willing out there to show the new people coming in to be able to be as skillful as they are.
Yeah, and then one other thing I'd like to add is, I think there's this thought out there that construction is behind when it comes to technology, and there's actually a lot of innovative approaches that the construction industry is taking when it comes to technology, and it's starting out in the field. I mean, I think, to Kathleen, you can talk about this too, but when it comes to our craft workers, they're using iPads for attendance tracking, and they're starting to use Chromebooks and all these other things. So we're definitely introducing technology into the construction industry.
One thing I would add about a misconception is that construction is not a highly paid industry. Nothing could be further from the truth. you have the potential to be extremely well paid in the construction business. Once you become a journeyman, and then as you become a foreman and then a general foreman, you know, if you're a construction worker and you're a union worker and you're working pretty much full time, there's nobody's going to be making less than 100,000 a year. And the high end is really, really high. I mean, when you get to the superintendent level, you could be making 250,000 a year. Plus you have incredible retirement benefits. So all that time you're working, you're making big dollars. There's a huge amount of money that's going in your retirement plan. You will have millions in your retirement plan, but if you stay in the industry for a lifetime. So there's an opportunity to make a lot of money here.
I wanted to add, there was a comment from David Pope. He's one of our instructors in our ROP program with Merced County Office of Ed. And he makes a great point that there's a misconception. Another misconception in construction is that it's a man's job. Yet if you look at our panel today, there's no dudes on it, right? It's three ladies
I was thinking
that
same thing.
that are this. So there's a lot of room for career building. It's not just a man's thing, right? So I appreciate that, David. It's a great point that you're making.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that.
And I agree as well. We actually have a female welder on our team and she's doing a great job.
Awesome.
We highly encourage the female welders to apply.
It's breaking that stigmatism, I guess, even, obviously in the high school levels and these programs, and encouraging, females to get into the field and not thinking that it's just, oh, I got into nursing and that's all I'm going to do, because that's a woman's field. We have to think big picture. And hopefully we're breaking some of those stigmatisms, but to see three ladies on the panel, awesome.
Any other questions from the audience, Luis?
I know that was the last one.
Okay.
Sure.
So we're at our time. So I want to ask one last one. If we can keep it short, though, is if you had one final advice for our participants today, what would it be?
I would say, when you decide what you want to do, don't give up. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not good at whatever. Keep persisting. I can't tell you how many times I was told I didn't belong in construction because I was female or whatever. And I was so determined, I didn't give up. Even if you hit the wall and you fail at something, keep going.
Good stuff.
I would say that, sometimes things can seem dark in the matter that you feel that you're not progressing in your career or in your life, but just reassure that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And like Kathleen said, don't ever give up. Remember, whatever you do for yourself, you're your leader. So if you want to lead, you need to be that person. And so you can't rely on other people to help you. It comes with us first. So just remember that the things are achievable. It's, like they said, it may take time, but it's achievable. And don't give up on yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree with both of them. If you work hard and you're persistent, then this is going to sound like a cliche, but I feel like there is no limit in what you can achieve.
Mm-hmm.
A good point. It reminds me, only one person is going to make you happy, and it's you. You got to start there. You can't expect the job or your coworkers or everything that's going to be your motivators. It has to start with the individual and have those motivations, identify that purpose. And then, like all you ladies said, do not stop, just keep going, keep trucking through, learn growth mindset type of mentality, where it's just, there's always something to get better at. There's always ways that we can improve, and just have fun with what you're doing.
Yeah.
So one final thing. So this day is Career Industry Day. Our participants found the link through the interactive catalog. It's got a ton of resources in there about career exploration. It will link to the 4 other books. There's one on our colleges and trades and post-secondary education. There's lots of videos from our local community colleges on their construction and CTE programs. Then we've got the other books on all the medical fields, or all the other different industry trades. We do have a general contractor in there and a plumber, and with Laird Manufacturing is represented in there. We have over 90 videos that is available to you for whenever, not just today. So you can check it out tomorrow or next week or over the weekend and watch the videos. They're all 5 to 10 minutes long. This was recorded. We will get them out on Zoom. We'll get them out in the books and the Zoom links out there so you can watch it if you joined us late. So we thank you for attending today. Luis, wrap it up for us, please.
Elena, appreciate your time. Sharon, Kathleen, thank you so much for all the wonderful information. I got to learn a lot of cool things. I agree. There's things that I totally see, and then there's other areas of letting us know in construction that there is no limits. We appreciate your time, your attention, and helping our students find a career, hopefully in the construction or welding trades, manufacturing trades. So we appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great one.